Guys, my friends at BioOptimizers have put together a truly irresistible offer that's only good during the month of October. Here's the deal. You will get a free 30-day supply of their enzyme supplement called Masszymes, plus a free copy of their book, From Sick to Superhuman, and a free copy of their brand new carnivore cookbook. This bundle is valued at $65. Just fill out a short form and cover a small shipping fee. It's an incredible deal. Masszymes is a powerful, best-in-class, daily enzyme supplement that improves digestion, reduces gas and bloating, and provides relief from constipation. But remember, a 30-day supply of Masszymes is not all you're going to get with this special offer. The book, From Sick to Superhuman, gives you the tools, tips, and techniques you need to become a superhuman version of yourself. And the new carnivore cookbook contains 72 delicious low-carb meat recipes that are perfect for carnivores, keto dieters, meat lovers, and everyone in between. Like I said, this free bundle offer is only available during the month of October. So use the link in my description or pinned comment to get yours today. Official prediction: Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. Guys, can I bury my lead? Can I answer that question in a moment? For you to hear me out, and not just for you to hear me, for me to help work through this myself. Let's use DraftKings.com, right? It's one thing to say who you think's going to win a fight, but that's a popularity contest. 99.9% of the time, you state who you want to win the fight, or which name you're more familiar with. Can we agree? I mean, that is what the sport of boxing lives on, purely. Not about the top 10 list in every boxing category from the beginning of time is who got the most headlines. The boxing top 10 is done the same way the top music top 10 is done. Are you guys familiar with the music charts? When they say this is the number one song in the country, they're not attempting to say that the acoustics or the vocals or the lyrics or the performance is better than the other songs. The top 10 in the world of music, it's whatever song nationally was played the most times. You operate on that, assuming that the DJs and the networks that are tied to this business and are tied to having people listen to them are going to play whatever the people want to listen to most. In addition, broad stroke, every radio station has a call-in and a request line. So operating on the loose assumptions that the DJs are playing not only what themselves feel as experts in the industry the audience wants, but also listening to the actual audience who calls it and makes a request. Whatever song is played the most is the number one song in the country. That's how you become a number one hit. It is nothing to speak of you, your performance, your band, your team, your creativity, if your voice is better than the other. It has nothing to do with that. That is how number one is established. And that makes a level of sense. I don't have a big problem with that. Do you guys know how rodeo is decided? I mean, think about sports. Do you guys know how rodeos, they have a world champion? And you'll see it every year. They do it at UNLV every year. It's the only rodeo event that's even put on television. It's a sellout. It's a must-be event if you're a cowboy of any level, but they will crown a world champion. You could come in last at the world championships and be the world champion. How the hell does that work? Well, I'll tell you. Rodeo will accumulate over a 365-day year money. And whoever made the most money rodeoing that year becomes the world champion. So the best rider, if he missed the highest paid event or two or three, just by example, the best rider will not be the world champion. Whoever made the most money is. But you can also see where that makes a level of sense. Whoever rode in the most rodeos and got on the most broncs and finished higher than the other guys over the course of a year instead of all decided in one day and can you stay on there 8 seconds or not, and made the most money is the champion that year. You see where it makes a level of sense. And other sports have had this and had problems. Ronda Rousey explained this to me one time. She explained to me judo for the Olympic team from the United States. That judo prior to the year of 2008, everything changed in 2008. Ronda was speaking to me and teaching me something I didn't know prior to 2008. But the way judo worked, it was not a final judo off. Like you'll have that in boxing, you'll have a final box off. Or in wrestling, the sports sci-fi, you'll have a final wrestle off. Gymnastics, you have a final event, you pick everybody. The way judo would work is tournaments that are distinguished Class A. You have an entire year to go to all of these different tournaments. And all of the Class A designated tournaments will come with certain points based on whether you were gold, silver, or bronze. And at the end of the year, they'll total that up, and whoever has the most becomes the Olympian. The problem that it quickly found, on accident, because that makes a level of sense, right? Instead of just one day and everything comes down to it, and maybe you have a good day or a bad day, and now you get the wrong team, and now somebody that could have won a medal for the country is staying home, and somebody that's going to be no medal and is just going to turn into a tourist we have to pay and give a spot to, and we don't get to rectify this for 4 years. The problem that it inadvertently had is now whatever kid's dad has the most money and can fly his kid to a tournament in France and then get him over to Tokyo and then get him back to Sweet can buy an Olympic spot. His kid could be the 7th or 8th best kid, but he was able to buy the airline tickets and get to these tournaments and accumulate enough points. I'm pointing all of this out to you because it is relevant what numbers say. And when I look at DraftKings, who is truly willing for people to put their money where their opinion is, that matters more to me than being around a water cooler and getting a hands up of who's just heard of a athlete more. DraftKings 1 week ago had Marvin Vettori as a favorite. It was close. -140 to a +160. It was close. Me as a bettor, if I see a 1 in either direction as the first number next to the plus or negative, that's pretty even money. That's a broad stroke that is absolutely mathematically not true, but that's how I look at it. That's pretty even money. If I don't have a 2-1, I don't have a 2.5, I don't have a 3.5, we're all in this, we're having a meaningful conversation. Okay, is Marvin still the favorite? Because now the scenario has changed, which is the weight class. And if you're picking Paulo Costa, you are forced to ask yourself the same question that if you were picking Nick Diaz against Lawler and then you get armed with the info that Nick can't make weight. The question becomes, why? Was it a lack of discipline? Was it a lack of training? We understand a scale. We understand without being nutritionalists, calories in to calories out, how you got those calories in and how you got those calories out, or in the case of Paulo Costa, that you did not. So now you start to wonder about training. You start to wonder about focus. You start to wonder about drive. You start to wonder about discipline. They may not be true. There may be option E and F and G, but we don't know what they are. Nobody's told us, and if we're parting with our money, we have to go based on the information that we have. What we have is a Paulo Costa who did not make weight. We have to wonder why. In conjunction with a Paulo Costa who's removed himself from the sport since he fought for a championship, and we know that Paulo was offered fights. Was it Paulo versus Robert Whittaker? It was supposed to be that huge deal that it was ABC, it ended up being Max, ended up being Cater, but that was offered to Paulo Costa and even accepted at one point, and Paulo changed his mind. My intent here is not in a negative way to put a light on Paulo Costa. It's just to shine the light that's got a whole bunch of question marks around it. And I can tell you as a guy who's fought for championships, and one of the championships I fought for, at the night that I fought for it, was the largest gate in MMA history and ended up breaking pay-per-view records. Those records have all no longer number one, but I share with you whatever I was to do next. In victory or defeat of that night, whatever I do next will not be as big as what I'm doing now. Walking into the weigh-in on my next fight, no matter what's at stake, will not be what it is now. This is history. This is a record. Very basic rule of life that we all know to be true. Whatever goes up must come down. It can run flat, it can go up again, but whatever goes up is going to come down. So when you're in that spot, what do you do? And we have seen so many fighters, I could name them top of my head. I won't because it could embarrass them. I could name them off the top of my head that truly were the second best fighter in the world. That's what number one contender is supposed to signify. If you are the number one contender, that represents that you can beat everybody in the field, and the only question left is the guy with the belt. And I know a number of guys who truly were the right number one contender. They were the second best on earth. They got that opportunity. The media that comes with it, the attention that comes with it, the money that comes with it, the prestige that comes with it, did not get the belt. And mentally they collapsed. Some of them knew it. Some of them knew, I do not have the same motivation, I do not have the same drive, but I don't have the same incentive, so it makes sense, and I hope that that all comes back tomorrow. Some of them knew it. Some of them did come away with a real positivity. They really had a confidence. There's nothing in sport or life that will screw you more than confidence. And any jerk can go write a book and sell it on Amazon talking about positive thought and confidence. Nothing will steer you in the wrong direction and make you work less than needed than confidence. Nothing. And I've seen guys fight and be this close to being champion. They then did the mathematical deduction based on pure logic that he's the best guy in the world. I'm the next best thing, so whoever I compete with next, as long as it's not him, I'm guaranteed to beat. And that confidence bit them in the ass, because even if that makes sense the way that I just articulated it, 2 + 2 is not 4 in the world of sport. You have to wonder with Paulo Costa who's going through that. Marvin Vettori is going through the same thing, which is his last fight will not be as big as his current and or next fight. It's just a reality. How are you going to respond? It looks as though Vettori has responded perfectly, and it looks as though Paulo Costa has struggled. Does that make a difference in the outcome? DraftKings, who is putting Marvin as the favorite, which I must tell you surprises me. That really did surprise me. You have two absolute studs here. I have nowhere I could go to insult either one of these guys or even really critique them. Their skills are on point. You lost to Adesanya. Adesanya is a whole nother deal. Adesanya has a length unique to himself within the division that you're never going to have to overcome again. He has a resume of 29-2 in the world of kickboxing that you're never going to deal with, you're never going to have to overcome again. He has ability to go out there, compete, and he has a rhythm. Izzy Adesanya has a rhythm. He has a finesse and a style that you are never going to have to deal with except with him, and you're never going to have to overcome again. So even if you came in second to him, so you assume there's things you could get better at, unless you were blessed and born with the right DNA, you're not even going to be subject to filling in some of those gaps. Adesanya is a different deal. Okay. When Vettori became the favorite, and the only weakness we have ever seen in Paulo Costa's career was the night that he competed with Izzy. And I can't really tell you who the better fighter was between Paulo and Izzy because I didn't see him fight. And I don't mean I didn't see the match. I didn't blink during the match. I didn't see them fight. Paulo Costa didn't fight. So I don't actually know who the better fighter is. Izzy came out ready to perform, and Paulo Costa was a punching bag. It's one of those things where, in all fairness, if I'm to judge Paulo Costa and I'm to break down what his weaknesses and juxtapose this with his strengths are, and that's the only 7 minutes of competition that I have, I'm going to be wildly misled. But the odds maker at DraftKings still favored Vettori against the Terminator. Paulo Costa, who has walked through fire, see the Romero fight, who can most definitely take a punch and give one, see the Uriah Hall fight. A damn near perfect athlete with a damn near perfect record, they believe is the underdog. I have a hard time believing that's because of strength, because of stamina, because of belt rank experience. I feel that line swayed and favored Vettori based on the intangibles such as the mental approach, which is something we have to guess. None of us know. None of us know what Paulo is thinking inside right now, and none of us know what Vettori is thinking inside. If you observe them both and you come to the conclusion that Vettori is more willful to get in there and appears to want to do this more, I would agree with you. That doesn't make us right, and there's no way to actually prove it, and that's why they call it a bet. And now that we know that Paulo Costa cannot make the agreed upon weight class, and we put all these negative reasons why, from discipline to hard work to desire, are we right? Or is he coming in with an advantage? Is he coming in with a meaningful advantage? He's gamed the entire system. He knew the show would go on. He knew the main event was going to be intact. He knew Vettori would go for it, and Vettori's now walked right into his trap, which is letting him show up a meaningful amount better. I mean, right, cutting down to 185 pounds. Don't forget, cutting and dieting are very different things. Dieting is losing weight. Cutting is dehydrating and pulling out water weight, which you will put in as soon as you get off the scale. So if you cut down to 205 pounds, you could have started at 225, very realistically. If you pull down to 185 pounds, you could have started about 200 pounds, very realistically. So now you're talking about if, and it's a game of if, having a conversation here. I don't know, but that's why we call it a bet. That's why it's gambling. If Paulo Costa, in some perverse universe, knew that he could rope a dope into 205 pounds and he plans to get in there at 2.25 over the course of a potential 25 minutes, that is a distinct advantage to Paulo Costa. It is. So which way do you want to fall? If we all agree they're great fighters, and we all agree that they have experience, and we all agree they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses, and we have to go to the intangibles. Who wants it more and who's got the desire and where the hell the attitude is? And then we come to the conclusion, we really don't know. We could only try to guess. I tend to fall on the side of advantage because of the weight. He's going to be fine. It's not a great look. That's against Paulo Costa. Advantage, Paulo Costa. Chael's official pick for Vettori and Paulo. I am taking Paulo Costa.